So this watch right here is actually what prompted me to create this YouTube channel. I was having a lot of really negative experiences with it, and I wanted to spread that with the world and talk about how bad of a product I thought it was. And the funny thing is, as soon as I started recording these videos, the performance improved. So let's talk about what the hell's going on with this thing. Okay, real quick before we jump into the rest of the video, I just want to tell you about why you might value my opinion. So I did some time in the military where I was a cavalry scout in the Army. I love being outdoors, camping, hiking, and trekking. I even did some time with search and rescue in the mountains. But what I'm doing right now is actually just backpacking around the world. So I spent a year in Europe and a year in Asia, and I'm currently half of a year into South America. And the thing about all these phases of my life is that I need good gear and equipment to do the things I want to do. So I don't claim to be an expert in any of this. I'm just sharing my experiences, and I hope it helps you. So let's jump into the product review. Let's start by talking about the positives. First of all, it tells you what time it is. That's really good. And second, it has a flashlight built into it. Now, are those features worth $1,000? No, they're obviously not. I bought this because I wanted to use the GPS functions, and that's where it's been failing me. Okay, it's story time, so I'm traveling right now. I bought this watch when I was in Bogota, Colombia, and while I was there, with the limited experience I had with this watch, I was testing it, and it seemed to work okay in that location. And from there, I went down to Argentina. I was in the cities of Mendoza and Bariloche, and that's when I started noticing that the compass, amongst other things, was just really not working very well. And I should mention before I start talking too much about compasses, I've taken land navigation classes. I know how maps and compasses work. And for reference, my 4-year-old iPhone, that compass works great compared to this. So if Garmin can't get simple compass features to work on the watch, how do I know that any of the GPS functions work on this watch? And I'm being kind when I say not working very well. I mean, it was almost completely unreliable. I could calibrate it, and then the calibration would fail sometimes after 5 minutes. Even in the middle of a park, in the middle of a field with no buildings around, it should have good access to satellites and whatever it needs. The compass could be as far off as 180 degrees, like completely in the wrong direction of what north should be. And it was happening like that 80% of the time. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm just so far south that it's having trouble picking up where north is. Or maybe it's a geological feature in that city that I was in. But after Argentina, then I went to Santiago, Chile, and then up to Arequipa, Peru, and it was having basically the same problems in all of these different cities. It wouldn't accurately point to where north is. It would just jump around frantically. And the problem was just happening all the time. It was very rarely ever accurate. And I could find like a fixed landmark which I knew was north and try and get the compass to point toward it. And sometimes it would work, but most of the time it would fail. It got to the point where the calibration just failed to work completely. I used to have to calibrate it frequently, and it wouldn't hold the calibration. And then the calibration just stopped working altogether. Now, as I have upcoming trips to the Amazon rainforest and Machu Picchu, I want to do some hiking. I wanted to contact customer service finally and be like, what the hell's going on with this watch? Why can't the simple function of the compass work? Now, I tried working with Garmin support. I was unable to return this. I would have, but because I'm traveling, I couldn't take it back to the store I bought it from. And since I'm in a new country now, they didn't seem to give a shit where I bought it from, but they didn't want to help me. And the online support, they were friendly, but unable to do anything for me. Now, I guess the solution would be when I get back to the States, I could initiate a return there, but I don't plan to go back to the States for a while. I'm traveling right now. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. I'm in Cusco, Peru now, and the performance has significantly improved. Whereas it used to fail about 80% of the time, now I think it succeeds about 80% of the time. So I'm wondering now, was there some weird geological features that were throwing the watch off? Were there some software updates? I don't think so, because I tried working through that with the tech support. So at the time of recording this video, I'm still testing the watch frequently, and I'm relatively satisfied with its performance right now, but I'm very wary about the reliability of it. I mean, overall, my experience with it has been mostly negative, so even if it starts working 100% right now, how long is that going to last for? It's just a bit disappointing because Garmin is supposed to be a GPS company, right? Isn't that supposed to be what they specialize in? If they can't do a simple compass app that works, what faith do I have in any of the apps on their products? I don't really have a lot of faith in like the heart rate monitor, the VO2 max stuff. I've tried using some of it, and sometimes it's accurate, but most of the time I think it's just making up random information. So with all that being said, I'm stuck with the watch anyways because I can't return it right now, and it's the only watch I have, so I'm going to keep wearing it. But I do love the flashlight feature. It's kind of silly, but it's also practical. I use it all the time. I just want to warn people, especially if you're in the southern hemisphere, that I wouldn't recommend this watch. Maybe it works great in the northern hemisphere, but down here in South America, had a lot of issues with the GPS and compass features. So look, as somebody who's traveling to new cities all the time, I'm always trying to use maps. I'm not going to trust this. I'm going to trust my 4-year-old iPhone more than this, but I'm going to keep testing it. I'm going to take it into the Amazon, as I mentioned. I'm going to take it into some mountains, and if it proves more reliable over time, I'll give it a better review. But right now, I would not trust this location information for anything important. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.